This is the Horse Radio Network.
This is episode 21 of Healthy Critters Radio on the Horse Radio Network. Healthy Critters Radio is brought to you by Biostar US. Find them online at biostarus.com.
On today's show, we're going to talk about some of our favorite new products. The breed of the show is the Beagle. We're going to talk about Ayurvedic medicine. And in Coffee Klatch, we're going to discuss vaccinations.
This is Tigger Montague.
And this is Patty Perucci, and you're listening to Healthy Critters Radio on the Horse Radio Network. I'm tired. How about you guys? I'd like to talk about that. I just got back from doing a clinic where I can't remember, but I think I taught 30 lessons.
Wow.
And, and I drove home and got up and went to work today. I'm just a little tired. And
did you drive home the scenic route or the direct route?
I actually did drive home the scenic route. I actually did. Kind of funny that you mentioned that. I did. It was beautiful. But I tell you what, after you teach 14 lessons in one day, a good friend of ours, Tigger's and mine, Jim Coford, who can teach 17 lessons in a day. Day number 1 and number 17 are all just good. I'm going to tell you what, you want to have me at my best, get up early. by 6 o'clock in the evening, if I have not had a brief nap, you do not want me. Because I'm bitchy, I'm hangry.
Yeah.
And we also know that if you get a little bit of wine at about 5:30,
then I'm
good.
Then I'm outstanding. Yeah. Yeah.
So how often do you hit the road and do that type of thing in a year? Patty?
Me, I do this one particular clinic every month, and it is for the most part, I generally I'll either leave right after I've done all of my horses on Friday and go teach a few Friday evening, and then pretty much all day Saturday, all day Sunday, anywhere from 10 to 12 lessons. But I do that every month. And I've actually started doing more.
So do you go back to the same location and end up with a lot of the same students each time?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So it's a regularly occurring thing.
Uh-huh. Yeah, and it's interesting because the first time in my career, I mean, I've always kind of wanted, Tigger and I've talked about this a lot, get more into doing clinics because what's nice about doing clinics, it's fresh, it's a new place, it keeps things fun and exciting, and it's always so nice to go see these people because they're so excited you're coming in, and right. Which really, that fuels me. But I always feel like I come away learning something about what I can do better in my own riding or something I can use for my daily clients because I do now sometimes up to 12 horses a day. I mean, the least I do is 10. So, I've got to keep things exciting. I try very hard. And this helps me a lot with that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure Healthy Critters does too.
Yes, it does. Because I love all of our topics, especially, Coffee Klatch ones. Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah.
So, Pat or Tigger, you do a lot of essentially teaching too, because when you go and do seminars and conferences as things, you are speaking with groups about various and sundry topics related to nutrition, I'm guessing.
Correct. Yeah.
Now, do you also, having been a teacher for many years, do you also find that going out and doing these things and interacting with, for lack of a better term, students, these are people who want to learn from you, also kind of sparks your creative fires a little bit and makes you want to dig in deeper and find more information for them?
No.
That was the answer you're supposed to give us.
Well, doesn't it give you ideas for new products?
Not necessarily, but what it does do is I get a lot of energy from helping people.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So if I'm giving a barn talk or a seminar or whatever, when it's over and people have asked their questions and blah, 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 and I feel like I'm standing on top of a mountain because knowing that that the possibility exists that maybe some horses are going to be helped by this is so immensely gratifying.
Yeah.
It's I can't even put words to it.
Interesting. So, almost in that you want
Well, a little bit,
know.
although it's just empowering people with knowledge that has been taken away from all of us by big ag.
Well, and also you put a lot of time into doing this, and then your time and your effort comes out in knowledge to other people, and that too, I think, fuels you up there on that mountain. You know what I mean? Because I totally get that.
It's an awesome feeling, and I feel very privileged to be able to be the messenger.
Mm-hmm.
And to do something important for the planet, because ultimately it's that small seed that is like waves. It's the ripple in the pond. It gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and that's really how you bring about change. And for me, the change is all about how we eat and how we take care of the earth.
Yeah.
Interesting. So very different points of view on, but yet you still find that interacting with people who want to learn from you is what energizes you to continue doing it for more people.
Oh, you bet.
Yeah.
Absolutely. 100%.
Yeah. And that's basically what you're talking about, Patty, by going off site and seeing people who want to learn, and they're gleaning information from you, and they're soaking it up like little sponges. That energizes you to go back home.
Oh, absolutely.
And do what you do at home.
And and the thing is, in my work, for the most part, if there's a lot of instant gratification. You show an exercise or you change a position, and someone can instantly feel something. And I am, and I don't know how many other people do this, but I am very big on communication. And I think that's why this one particular clinic that I do has continued to be more of an extension of my business where I am in Houston. But I have people text me. I want you to tell me what's going on. Send me a short, clip about what's going on, or, you didn't get that. And what I ask everybody to do, and this is, and I've been doing this for years, but I tell them at the end of their lesson, they have to send me at the end of the weekend 3 things, and it can be longer than 3 things, but on what we worked on, because I often find if I don't have them do that, then they think we've worked on something else, and I go back the next month and there's no improvement. And then I find
takeaways. Yes.
Well, yeah. And so, but they have homework. I like to give them homework, and I love it when people check in with me and say, okay, all right, dude, this was not working. What am I doing wrong? Or did I not get it right, or whatever? But that way, when I go back, it's not like I'm going blind into the situation. I've had a little bit of communication. I'm getting somewhat of an idea how the 3 weeks or 4 weeks have gone. So I go in with a little bit of knowledge. And so that, and like I said, it's instantly gratifying, and I can walk away from the weekend. I'm not a big person to make big changes, because I want them to feel the progression. I want to come back in 3 weeks and see they've made improvements. I find if you go and you make these huge improvements and they can't sustain them without you standing there, that doesn't do anybody good. I've just taken their money. So I make them do homework.
Yeah.
I'm making them accountable for what they've done.
One of the nicest compliments I ever got when I was back in the day when I was a riding instructor, I had a student who was also a very good friend, which frequently happens in the horse business.
Sure.
Had gotten to that point in her riding, and I said, I've taught you everything I know. I can't do anything else.
Wow.
Everything I've got, you've got,
Wow.
and you've got it solid. We need to find you an instructor who can take you up to the next level.
Wow.
So she went out and found her one. And during her first lesson, sort of that get to know each other thing, at the end of the lesson, she said, "You've got the basics down pat better than anybody I've ever started with before." And that was the biggest compliment.
Yeah.
Wow.
No, that is really nice.
Because that's all I had. That's all, as far as dressage was concerned, I can get you the basics. That's it. That's all.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah,
I can
but
do
that's
for
a
you.
tremendous That's a
That
tremendous
was like, I felt so proud.
Yeah.
You were on the mountain.
Yes,
Yeah,
I was on the mountain, exactly. And it's the same thing in that you feed off of that energy of the light bulb moments that your students, or in your case, Tigger, the people who are participating in conferences and barn talks and stuff, and we all feed on that with each other. And I think that's something that we're starting to see a little bit more of, at least from my point of view, in the horse community at large. We're spending a little bit more time encouraging one another to feed off of that positive energy from each other. Like, I just had a rotten ride on my horse. This, that, and the other thing happened. I'm feeling kind of low. But instead of that sucks, you need to go and do these 6 things that are crazy. Well, it's okay that it sucked. Let's work on it. Let's be positive and move forward rather than dwelling on that negative part. I'm starting to see a kind of a, like you referred to earlier, Tigger, sort of a ripple effect in the horse community. It's gradually getting more positive at that grassroots level, in that how we feel about our horses, how we compete our horses, how we take care of them. It's starting to be more positive.
Yeah. Thank God.
Which the horses feed off of.
The horses feed off of. Precisely. Exactly. So let's kind of like get on with the show. We've got new products to talk about, right?
We do.
All right.
Yep.
This episode's special guest segment is brought to you by Warhorse, naturally aggressive and fiercely kind.
So we decided it would be a fun segment, shaking things up a little bit, that we talk about some new products that each of us have run across that either we really like or we don't think too much of.
Yeah.
So I'm going to start with something that I heard about from a client in California. And she has a warm blood that was imported a year ago. And he just, no matter what, they've done everything, ulcers and whole food diet, and he gets better, but he never quite was the horse that she saw in Europe. And she had a visit from a representative of this company who talked to her about maybe the problem was the water, that he wasn't drinking enough, he wasn't well hydrated. And maybe there's, it could be an issue also with the fact that it's city water. So you've got chlorine and other metals. And so she tried it. The horse totally turned around. So then she goes to a horse show. And she just fills the bucket with regular horse show water. And she said, I got on that horse and I warmed him up and he felt like crap.
Ow.
So she went back to her tack trunk, got out this product, filled his water bucket. He was great all weekend.
Interesting.
Well, obviously I was incredibly intrigued. So I went online, looked up this product. It's called Horse Hydrator.
And by the way, don't go to the website while you're recording a podcast, because they have one of those really irritating auto start videos that creates music in the background. Yeah.
Yep. Sideline.
Yeah, just an FYI.
Yeah, sideline.
So I bought 2. Now I'm on well
not just
water.
1, 2.
No, I bought 2 because if I really like something, then I want to give it to somebody else to try.
That, and she likes to have a lot of it.
So being on well water, I didn't think there was going to be any kind of a difference, but I thought it was such a cool concept. You attach it to the end of your hose, the filter, the water runs through this filter.
And it's simple, right?
And it's really simple. I mean, any idiot can do it, including myself, who has no mechanical abilities whatsoever. So the first day, filled up the water, made their feed with it. Didn't see any difference and didn't expect to. But the second day, one horse drank a third more than he normally drinks, and it wasn't even a hot day. And the mare that she drinks very moderately, she drank 50% more.
Interesting.
Yeah. Then I had filled the tub out in their pasture with this new filter water. And this morning when I brought them in, I'm like, holy crap. I mean, they drank a lot of water.
Wow. And, that's interesting because that's well water. I mean, I always think well water is better, like they'll drink well water more readily, than they would regular
Exactly.
water.
But I have a feeling that part of this filter is using a coconut charcoal.
Mm-hmm.
And I think just making the water even better tasting.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think there's anything harmful like city water can possibly have with the treatment.
Yeah, and I've spent most of my life drinking well water from various and sundry places. And just because it's well water that is perfectly safe to drink doesn't mean that there are not dissolved minerals in there that make it taste funky.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I've had the well tested, and we're very high in copper and zinc, which is good things, but we also have things like E. coli and other bacteria, not at dangerous levels, but it may be that this filter was just enough to take out whatever the horses found. Okay, no problem, we'll drink it, but boy, this is really better.
That's so interesting.
And you know what is so amazing? This thing is about, you can just put it in your palm. It's not like you're lugging around some big complicated.
It's not any bigger than a fancy schmancy end that you would put on your hose to make it spray pretty patterns.
Yeah, it's like a big brush.
Yeah,
but it doesn't.
Interesting.
But it's because the video, when I watched the video, I guess it looked to me, I don't know, like it was almost in a bottle of some sorts, or like
it's like a plastic bottle that has openings at both ends, one for the water to come out, one to attach to your hose. It's not it's a very simple device, but I tell you, it works great.
And how many uses does each filter have?
So they say that you get 700 to 2,000 gallons, so approximately 3 to 4 months. And I think it retails for like $25.
That's really awesome.
What a great thing to take to horse shows with you.
Horse shows.
Yeah, and it's funny, Tigger, you and I both can attest to this. When you bring horses from anywhere else, especially like Virginia, and you bring them to Florida, especially in Loxahatchee, tons of horses that won't drink, and or drinking on the road, or there's always that one horse. Boy, that's going to be invaluable.
Yeah, I'm a raving fan.
So what's the name of it again?
So it's horsehydrator.com.
Huh. Oh, and you can connect it directly to the spigot too.
Yep.
Isn't that interesting? Yeah. So even if you have an automatic waterer, you can hook it to the automatic waterer.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Dang.
Wow.
What a versatile product.
And so can you tell when the filter needs to be changed, or?
It doesn't. There doesn't seem to be anything that that alerts.
The button
you to
doesn't
that.
pop like a turkey that's
it doesn't turn red like.
Okay.
But they do have an auto ship. It's based on 3 months of usage, and at $24.99. If you get 3 months of use, that's
ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
What is that per day? Really, that is so interesting.
It's pennies, not even.
Yeah. Yeah.
I really think every barn should have it, and especially if you're on city water and your horses travel to shows. This is a must-have.
Yeah. Oh, I'm going to order some. I looked it up when you had sent it to me and thought it was incredibly fascinating. Especially, like I said, you're taking horses from down to Florida, especially into Loxahatchee. I've had so many horses that won't drink.
So much sulfur in that water.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sulfur. Ugh.
And this will bind up the sulfur and the chlorine.
Oh, that's so cool.
How cool is that?
Really good, Tigger. I don't have anything even remotely that good.
Dang.
Well, then let's go to Jennifer.
Yeah, let's go to Jennifer.
And here, I thought my product was pretty kick butt, but I don't know now.
Yeah, I want to see.
My product is the Rocking Horse Feeder, which is at rockinghorsefeeders, plural.com. And you can go there safely because it does not have an autoplay video. And what it is, it's a round plastic feed tub like you hang in your horse's stall or use in the paddock. But what she's done is, I'm going to date myself. Are you familiar with weebles that wobble but don't fall down?
Yes. Of course.
Okay. Or if you're a little bit younger, those punching bags that kids get that have sand in the bottom and you punch them and they can't fall over. This is
Yep.
basically a feed tub that can't fall over. So when the horses zing it across the paddock and try to get the feed to fly out of it or try to flip it over, it doesn't.
Interesting.
It doesn't. It's got
Okay.
it's got an integral lip on the top. You know how you can buy the big round feed tubs that you hang in your stall that you can put a lip on top of them, and then the
Yeah.
horses use that lip like a chew toy, and they pull
Yep.
it halfway off. Well, the lip is integral, so they can't do that, and they can't zing the feed out the side because that lip is there. But then it's designed with a weight in the bottom, and the weight is on the exterior surface.
Like a bean bag.
Like a bean bag. So it's heavy. And then the bottom is rounded. So when the horse hits the side of it trying to
interesting.
tip it over, it kind of rolls 10 or 15 degrees and then rights itself. And then they hit it again and it rolls 5 or 10 degrees and then it rights itself.
Huh.
And I've had this one for, probably close to a year now. And Nigel, my new horse, is being typical thoroughbred, just zings the feed out of the tub, tips it over, you name it. So I started using this with him. And now they're designed to go on the ground. They're not designed to be hung up for obvious reasons because you wouldn't need the weight there. And I found something interesting. I was just telling my neighbor about it this morning. Now that he's been using it consistently for a while, he no longer tries to tip it over. Because, you know how,
Interesting.
yeah, he doesn't even try. He just sticks his face in and eats.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, there's none of the behaviors have gone that caused me to want to use it to begin with. Now, it'll be interesting to let him use this for 3 or 6 months and see if I can put a regular feed bucket on the floor and see if he goes back to it. I don't know. But he stopped trying to tip it over. He doesn't wing at it with his head. He doesn't beat on it. Just plop it down
That's
there.
pretty cool.
There's no feed
That
on the
is very
floor.
cool.
No feed on the floor. No tipped over. We're not feeding the mice or the birds or the squirrels anymore. It's all going in Nigel, and I really like that.
Oh, that is so cool.
Yeah, it's again, it's like, well, why didn't somebody think of this a million years ago? It's such a simple concept, but somebody.
Where
finally
did you
got around to
where
it.
did you find it? Like, how did you even come across it?
Rocking Horse Feeders contacted us?
Okay,
I don't remember anymore.
that's cool. Because that was like when we were discussing doing this, I kept thinking, I know, Tigger, you talk to so many people that make suggestions, and generally, obviously, it has something to do with them eating or whatever because of what you do. But I kept thinking, I don't really, I really don't get that many suggestions for different stuff. I was just wondering how you kind of came across it, like how you even found it. So it's cool.
Yeah, they contacted us.
She's in the in crowd.
The
She
in
is.
crowd, yeah. And I tested it on all the horses here at the farm. There are 4 of them. And our next door neighbors, whose horses share the same facilities as ours, liked them so much they bought 2 more for their horses.
Wow, that's well. It makes me think of babies. Babies tend to knock stuff around all the time.
Oh, yes.
When we were at Lieselots, I had trying to feed the babies outside was never fun, and they always every single one of them pawed,
Yep.
from birth.
Yep. Paw at the feed
So that's
tub.
pretty good. Yeah,
And Nigel's
that's
a
pretty cool.
pawer at the feed tub. He does them all. He's got every habit when it comes to feed tubs.
Isn't that nice?
Yeah. So this fixed him right up. Ta-da.
Oh, cool.
There we go.
Okay.
Very cool.
All
Okay,
right.
Patty P.
Okay. Well, I just want you to know. Okay, so when you get new riding boots, and I tend to like to wear Koenigs, they're tough, they're real stiff, and it always hurts the crap out of my ankles. And I use, and it was funny because they have this product, and I didn't know that it was called this, but it's called a Bunja ankle sleeve, and you can get them in Dover, but I never knew what they were called, and so I had to look it up. So I was a little panicked that I wouldn't be able to find it, but it's actually something I guess skaters use, and it is a fabric on the outside, gel on the inside, and it slips right over your ankle, so you don't get those horrible rubs. Like sometimes I don't use my everyday boots or not my show boots, so when I go to use my show boots, even though my show boots are older,
Hurts.
it hurts
Yep.
my ankles. So they're so you can get them at Dover. I don't honestly know what the cost is there, but I found I found them online when I was trying to think of what the name was, and I think I actually found them cheaper. Sorry, Dover, at Discount Skatewear, and they're called a Bunja
Oh, wow.
ankle sleeve. Yeah, and I think they're $15.99. And the thing is these things can last a long time. And I got to the point where I like them so much I wear them every day now, which is kind of weird. But
Wow.
well, when I keep my boots on, I start riding at 7 and I often am done at like 2:30 or 3, and I'm in them either working or teaching. And it just, I don't know, it's kind of, I also wear Ariat boots when I teach a lot because it's better for, standing. And I just feel so comfortable and I don't get nearly as fatigued because I'm not constantly, worrying about my ankles rubbing. So that's my thing. It's called the Bunja ankle sleeve.
Now, is the one that you use the one that goes around the heel of your foot as well, or is this the one that just goes on your ankle?
It's the one that just goes on your ankle. And if you go to, what did I say the name of this site was? The skate site. I don't know what I just said. Oh, here it is. Discount Skate. There are, there's a bunch of different varieties. You can get one that goes around your ankle or just around the sleeve, around the heel. But I just do the one that goes around my ankle. And I will tell you, they don't move. They do not move.
Wow.
Bunja ankle sleeve, $15.99.
Yeah, Bunja. Yeah, see? Pretty cool, right? And that's where I will be buying them. Sorry, Dover, but kind of cool. And now you can get, I don't know if you can see that you can get them in 2 different lengths. I get the shorter ones just because I live in Houston, and when it's 105 outside, who needs their ankles to be sweating? Not me.
Not you.
But yeah, so kind of cool.
Huh. Who knew?
Yeah. Who knew? Who knew?
Okay, well, my next product, it's actually 2 products, and they're for humans, for people who have bad knees, bad ankles, flat feet, and bad backs, which would be a lot of riders.
Well,
so, Patty P, you and Jennifer know that I have chronically bad knee, and I can be incredibly lame. I mean, I would never pass the vet. even on a good day.
I've seen you jog. It's not good. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not good. And I wear braces on my knee, and I do everything I can to make it comfortable, ice it, elevate it. Well, I have discovered the best shoes.
Oh.
So one of them is called Ahnu. AHNU.
Okay.
And you can get them at Zappos. At least that's where I got them. But my sister turned me onto them. They are ultra cushioned for shock absorption.
Cool.
So when I'm walking with all this shock absorption, my knee doesn't hurt at all. And I'm mucking stalls, pushing the wheelbarrow, hiking now, and it doesn't, I haven't even had to wear my brace.
Oh, that's pretty impressive.
Really?
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. And now the only problem is these are all tie-up shoes. They're hiking
lacing,
and lacing, which is fine because at least you can adjust, how tight you want it or how close fitting. But there are some days that I just want some slip-ons.
Yeah.
And
wait. They have the Ahnu Jackie Pro. Looks like a clog.
yeah, I didn't like that so much.
Oh, okay. Sorry,
then
I'm shopping.
I found Gravity Defier, and I found these doing a search for flat feet and bad knees.
Oh, jeez.
Do you actually Google flat feet and bad knees? Is that what you Google?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think
Just
she
checking.
does.
Just checking.
So just go to Gravity Defier, and they have a sole that isn't as thick looking as the Ahnu. They somehow have trapped air in there, and it's like walking on a cloud.
That's amazing.
And again, my knee doesn't hurt because it's getting so much support, and I'm getting arch support for the first time in my life from being flat-footed. And,
wow.
And they're funky. And me, I like a little funk.
You are funky.
I am funky. So anyway, if you've got a bad back, if you've got bad knees or hips, if you're flat-footed, or if you've got a high arch, look at Anu and definitely check out Gravity Defier.
I would love to have a picture of you in these
Yeah,
Anu.
can we use that for the show notes picture?
Yeah,
A picture of
I'm
your
thinking
feet?
that with a picture of her in shorts with a pitchfork,
Yes.
right? Are you with me on this,
I think-
Jennifer?
I
mean,
think
this is
so.
really, yeah.
Yes.
I think that's a must-have.
Well, I mean, I can take a picture right now I have the Gravity Defier sitting right here.
I would love
So,
to see them.
Maybe of your
Um,
dog chewing on them.
Oh,
no,
that would be
no.
good.
They just carry them around. They don't
Okay,
chew.
They don't chew them.
Yeah.
That would be beneath them. Yeah.
Oh, thank goodness.
So, do we have any other great new products we want to share?
Oh,
I don't know. I have one that's not new.
I mean, new to you.
Sure. Not really. It's not new to me. It's just one I really like. Well, and it will be. I mean, I guess it's new within the last year. Does that count?
That's new. Sure.
Okay. How about it's my newish
There you go.
thing. We use in Texas they have a thing called a Magna Wave, and I don't know if you've heard of it, Tigger. But
Oh yes. Oh
okay,
yeah.
it's very, very, and I have seen lots of beneficial results from it from some of the horses. But the original gal that would come and do it would bring and give this to people a Roma, and I'm going to say a Roma massage mitt because it's the least expensive one, but there's little balls in it that have magnets. So you can curry your horse and then go over them with this magnet thing. And the reason I like it so much is that it really is a good curry. It fits in your hand well. It's plastic. You can hose it off. But on the other side, it has the magnets in it. And like you can do it over their face or their pole or their neck.
Wow.
I really like it. And so I looked it up and you can get it at Valley Vet and they're $3.95 or $3.95. I don't know about with shipping, but you can get them in tons of cute colors, but they're just kind of like a great stocking stuffer or, something for a birthday present. But what I like is that you can hose them off, because if they get dirty from currying, you can hose them off. The little balls still wheel around quite fine. But on the other side, it's really good for their legs, like if their legs get kind of grungy. So the curry part of it is quite nice. But you can go over their hocks, you can go over, whatever. So it's kind of it's a pretty neat little product.
And where do you find it?
The cheapest I found it, because I was actually given it, is on Valley Vet.
Okay.
You can Google it, but Valley Vet for $3.95. I've seen them as expensive as $11, but I don't know. I don't know. I've not used those. I've used the cheaper, more colorful, purdy ones.
Well, they got to be pretty colors.
Yeah, they do, because they've got to make you happy. Yeah.
All right, now I'm trying to find it on Valley Vet here.
I just Googled it.
What did you Google? Magnet curry?
Yes, at Magnet Horse Curry, and then it'll show up like State Line, Schneider, and then Valley Vet.
Oh, look at that!
And
I have one of those.
See, aren't they cool?
Yeah, it's like the little jelly curries that we all love so much, but it has little magnets.
And I think they come in two different types because one's like a real jelly, movable one, and one's a little stiffer.
Yeah, I think I have the cheap, stiffer one. Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to get the squishy, soft one.
Yeah, I mean, but I like the stiff one too if you've got like anything you want to work off a leg or, whatever, any funk.
Magnetic jelly massage curry. Wow, that's a mouthful.
Yeah, that is.
There you go.
Awesome. We know that cleaners and products we use have a great impact on the well-being of our families, our animals, our farms, and the earth. Warhorse works to offer our customers naturally aggressive and fiercely kind cleaners that provide effectiveness, versatility, and value. And Warhorse does this with special combinations of simple, humble, but extraordinary plant oils that have no pesticides, no metals, no glyphosate, no petroleum, no sulfate ingredients, and no genetically modified organisms. Warhorse's equine, pet, and people soaps use an exclusive raw sunflower oil that retains its waxes, lecithin, and vitamin E. and add some skin-loving avocado, coconut, almond, and dead sea minerals, and you've got a buffet of healthy benefits for your farm family. All Warhorse cleaners are naturally aggressive on dirt and grime and fiercely kind to the most sensitive skin, even our pure gold and multi-purpose cleaners. So go ahead, get in the mud and get dirty. Warhorse has got your clean, a Warhorse kind of clean. Warhorse products are available at Biostar US. You can find them online at biostarus.com or call us direct 1-800-686-9544.
And now it's time for the breed of the show.
So I decided I wanted to get back to dog breeds, mainly because my son Ray, who picks them out for me, insisted that we do Beagles. And so what a cute little dog they are, guys. They're just, we had hunting Beagles, but they weren't like, inside Beagles. They were kept in really nice kennels that we had outside. And I've never had them as a pet. I don't know if you have, Tigger. Is that the one breed that you made? Okay, that's right, your sister.
Yeah.
Well, they're just darling little dogs. And a friend of ours, Sharakash, had one years ago. I don't know if you remember that one. He was so cute. It was just a great little dog. But they, a lot of stuff that I didn't know. They originated in Great Britain. I knew that they were, obviously, they're a scent hound, which means that they hunt with their nose and not by sight.
They will go through an invisible fence.
Yeah,
they smell something. You can't.
Yeah. Well, and which is interesting because, as we all know, they use them a lot as drug dogs.
Yeah.
And because they have such good noses, that's like their number one thing. They're very popular because of their size. AKC. What did they call them? They call them merry, friendly, curious little dogs. And I thought that was such a sweet way to describe them. But they're, really basically a small size dog. Males get anywhere from 20 to 25 pounds, females 20 to 23 pounds-ish. They have variations of colors, but basically it's tricolor or a combination of white combo. So like they have black and tan or black, red and tan or black, tan and white, but there's all kind of that. And I think they even get into blue, which I was not aware of. I've never seen a blue Beagle, but
me neither.
Yeah, I didn't really research that too much because I didn't know they had them. But they're very intelligent. They're single-minded. I think they require moderate exercise. I mean, they could be a good apartment type dog, but does need regular exercise. But they will bay. They will throw their little heads back and do a little yodeling when prompted. Great with kids. Great with other dogs. Great with like I said, in a good apartment dog, but also good on the farm. However, they are single-minded. So if you have one, it's not common to have them off the leash and expect them to stick around. They're going to go off hunting. Yeah. So, and like we had mentioned earlier, they do use them for detection dogs for any type of agricultural import stuff, drug dogs, blah, blah, blah. They're really quite good in that area.
And who's the most famous Beagle of them all?
Snoopy from the comic strips. Peanuts, which it's so funny. I hadn't thought about that in the longest time. And
I love Snoopy.
I know. That was such a cute dog. And he had do you remember him in his little bomber outfit?
Of course.
Yeah, that was so cute. Oh my gosh.
The little goggles.
I know. So originated in Great Britain in 1885. They came from several different breeds, a Talbot hound, a Southern hound, a North Country Beagle, and possibly the Harrier. Primarily bred to hunt rabbits and hare. They are generally a very healthy dog. They have very little things. You have to, of course, be cautious of ear infections because they have floppy ears. and they are prone to, as are a lot of smaller dogs, epilepsy. And one interesting thing, they are prone to dwarfism, which is funny.
Really? I did not know that.
I didn't either. Had no idea. And they referred to it as the puppy-like look. But I don't know why. I'm not sure genetically why that's a thing, but it was kind of in the top 5 things that they mentioned that just sort of stood out. But really, I think they're a good little dog. You could definitely do them in an apartment if you get regular exercise. I would not take them off the leash if you but they do. You could bring them to a dog park. They'd get along with other dogs. Great with kids. Just I think a generally all around good dog.
Real horses and real dogs are healthier, perform better, and recover more quickly on real food. That's why Biostar empowers horse and canine owners with 100% whole food nutrition, supplements, and feeding programs. Biostar products are made at their own certified non-GMO facility in Gordonsville, Virginia, using real food ingredients that are raw, freeze-dried, or dehydrated, never cooked, and are free from artificial flavors, colors, soy, corn, wheat, and molasses. The Biostar product line includes a wide range of whole food, horse and dog supplements, treats, and unique artisan poultices that embrace the ancient and traditional uses of clay and plants. Visit biostarus.com today and learn about whole foods and canine and equine nutrition so you can make the best decisions about the care and health of your horses and dogs. That's biostarus.com. Whole food nutrition the way nature intended.
We are at Critter Nutrition, and today we're going to talk about Ayurveda, which is the oldest medicine on earth. My first exposure to Ayurveda was in 1984 at the Natural Products Expo in Atlanta. I was working for a human supplement company that sold products through independent health food stores. Standing in the trade booth on the first day of the expo, I saw 2 Sikhs walking down the aisle. My eyes followed them to a booth at the end of the aisle. On a break, my curiosity propelled me to the booth of the Sikhs. Spread out on the table were packages of small yellow beans and herbs that I'd never heard of: amalaki, gugaloo, dashamula, boswellia, ashoka. "What is this?" I asked politely. "These are some of the medicines of Ayurveda," one of the Sikhs said. I had no idea what Ayurveda meant. I had never heard the word before. A few Chinese herbs from traditional Chinese medicine had inched into the health food business in the early 1980s. Herbs like ginseng, mahuang, astragalus, and ginger. In complete ignorance, I said, "Are these new Chinese herbs?" "The medicine of Ayurveda is older than that," the older Sikh said. "It is the oldest medicine on earth." The ancient philosophy of Ayurveda is so named for life knowledge. Ayur means life and Veda means knowledge. It arose in India thousands of years ago. The great seers of India came to understand and reveal the deepest truths of human physiology and health through deep meditation and spiritual practices. These truths and practices were passed down orally until they were compiled and organized into an elaborate system of sacred texts recorded in the Vedas, the world's oldest existing literature written in Sanskrit more than 5,000 years ago. These texts include information on animal care, health management, and curing diseases of the animals. By 400 AD, the Ayurvedic texts had been translated into Chinese. By 700 AD, Chinese scholars were studying Ayurveda in India. The fundamental root of Ayurveda is health is the balanced and dynamic integration of environment, body, mind, and spirit. In Ayurveda, it is all connected. There are 5 elements in Ayurveda: space, air, fire, water, and earth. The term space was actually ether, and in the ancient philosophies was thought to be prevalent in the heavens but inaccessible to humans. There are three basic energies that govern the inner and outer environments of movement, transformation, and structure. These energies are referred to as doshas. Vata dosha is air and space. Pitta dosha is fire and water. Kapha dosha is earth and water. Vata dosha governs movement. Pitta dosha is associated with metabolism, digestion, and vision. It is considered the transformation dosha. Kapha dosha provides structure, lubrication, and stability. Signs of imbalance in a dosha. If the Vata dosha is out of balance, it can be expressed by anxiety, insomnia, dry skin, constipation, difficulty focusing. When Pitta dosha is out of balance, there can be indigestion, ulcers, inflammation, skin rashes, diarrhea. When Kapha dosha is out of balance, it can be experienced as weight gain, sluggishness, indigestion, slow or suppressed metabolism, lymphatic congestion. Ayurveda points to imbalanced kapha as a leading sign of prediabetes. There are times when more than one dosha can be out of balance, as in an overweight horse with gastric ulcers. That would indicate an imbalance of Pitta dosha and Kapha dosha. Ayurveda focuses on foods, herbs, plants, and spices that are categorized as cooling, warming, neutral. This is also true of traditional Chinese medicine. For example, a horse with gastric ulcers would be seen as an imbalance of the Pitta dosha. Since Pitta governs fire, an ulcer would signify too much fire in the GI tract. The Ayurvedic approach would be to support the horse with cooling foods, such as Lactobacillus acidophilus, a probiotic bacteria that is from milk, which is cooling. An active yeast probiotic would not be recommended because active yeast is warming. And if we already have too much fire in the GI tract, we don't need to add more heat. Examples of some neutral foods are almonds and hemp seeds. Tridoshic foods for horses. These are the foods and plants that are balancing for all three doshas. Pumpkin seeds, sunflower seeds, sesame seeds, chia, flax, almonds, coconut in small amounts, blueberries, pomegranate, alfalfa, cabbage, kale, seaweeds, quinoa, rice in moderation, ashwagandha, holy basil, black pepper, amla, which is known as Indian gooseberry, turmeric, oregano, mung beans, mung dal, which is a split yellow bean, fennel, parsley, carrots, dandelion, squash, and the blue-green algae, chlorella and spirulina. From the moment I met the Sikhs at the Natural Products Trade Show many years ago, I was drawn like a magnet to Ayurveda. I resonated with the philosophy of balancing the whole body system rather than pieces of the body system. This would be in conflict with the Western nutrition training I had until I learned how to use both Ayurveda and Western nutritionism together. In the past 30 years, more scientific research has been conducted on various plants used widely in Ayurveda, and studies have proven the wisdom in the old Ayurvedic Sanskrit texts. Although the ancients didn't have the same methodology, they did, in fact, have a profound understanding of the relationship between food, plants, environment, and health. Biostar supplements are formulated with a combination of Ayurvedic and Western nutritionism, and several Biostar formulas are totally Ayurvedic. They would be True Balance, Theracalm, Tridosha, Cool Star, Thermal, Bioflora, BioYeast, and for the dogs, Buckaroo's Cooling Stew, Buckaroo's Warming Stew, and Terra Biota. So we picked a very interesting topic today.
Indeed.
A controversial one.
Yes.
Which is vaccines. And there's a lot of opinions about vaccines. So we thought the best way was for each of us just to talk about our personal feelings about vaccinating horses and dogs. And, ultimately it's always a personal choice.
Right.
And I'll start out by saying I have a herd of retired horses. They've been vaccinated up the kazoo for most of their competitive lives, and they don't get any vaccines.
And they're alive and kicking.
and they're in their late 20s.
Yeah.
There you go. Alive and kicking.
I would not, I'm not saying I would do that with a foal or a yearling or a 2-year-old, but I do think there comes a point, and Patty, you remember Lion's violent reaction to vaccines. It got to the point where, he was telling me,
yeah,
you can't give these to me anymore.
Yeah.
We had to go nasal for some of them, because he had such bad reactions.
And didn't even the nasal ones bother him?
They did, but not as badly as the intermuscular.
Oh, it's just you think about it, and they have such an adverse reaction to this, and then yet, and now with the new flu and rhino thing that it's got to be within every 6 months. And I know some horses out there. The very first time I ever had a dealing with this was when I bought my first horse from Lieselot, and she didn't vaccinate. She was very holistic. Well, I didn't know that, and I had bought this 2-year-old filly. She was just beautiful. And it was the fall, and I did my vaccinations. And at that point, we were putting them all together, grouping them all together. And that poor horse could not pick her head up for 10 days. 10 days. And I didn't know what happened. I had no idea what happened. And so, of course, I started talking to my vet. And, ever since that one thing that's happened, I, at that moment, thought, okay, well, I am breaking up every vaccine that I ever give over a very large period of time. And I give them bute so that they, and obviously there's live vaccines versus the killed vaccines. And, flu and rhino is very difficult because sometimes the first time you give it, it's not an issue. It's the second and third time that it becomes the more violent, and so on and so on. But I remember years ago when we were doing a lot of breeding, and we were doing the flu and rhino shots with the mares like every 3, 6, 9
months.
Yeah. And, no telling what we were doing,
Yep. No, that was the protocol, like worming every 6 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't get me started on that. But yeah.
We'll save that for next time.
Yeah. And I think I will say this too. I definitely have an opinion about vaccines. I definitely do my young horses. I feel very strongly about this with my dogs as well, is I do what is required. I do like to break everything up. I don't like to give anything in one, clump at all anymore.
I don't either.
As my dogs get older, I stop giving them vaccines.
Yep.
That's all there is to it. Because at some point, when you have a dog that's living well beyond its expected life expectancy, I feel like you end up having to play God. I mean, dogs, as like horses are, should get older and fail naturally. And, the best horse that I ever had, the best way a horse ever died was I woke up and he had a lovely little heart attack, and it was awesome. It was Sage, first horse you ever met me on. And,
oh yeah.
And I had done the same thing. I stopped giving vaccinations. I mean, why give an older horse and when I say this, I know someone's going to hear this and they're going to go, oh my gosh, do you know what you could do? And well, you know what? I've had tons of horses that I have let get to older age and stop giving them vaccines. Same thing, obviously, with you. And they didn't die because they didn't get vaccines. you know what I mean? They didn't have a horrible ending of their life. They had a better ending of their life because they ended up dying in a more natural time frame. And, the more we do for our animals, the longer we make them live beyond what their life expectancy is. There's a whole other onslaught of problems, I believe, come with that. And you're living proof having all those horses in your backyard that are in their late 20s that are still living. And granted, some horses are supposed to live a long, long time. They just are.
Yeah.
Thunder lived till he was almost 40 years old. And he stopped getting vaccinations. But, sometimes they're just not supposed to be around that long. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And the more we do for them, the more we're falsely keeping them here. It's just
I think
a tough decision.
there's with dogs and with horses, we have to ask ourselves what is absolutely necessary,
Right.
and how much is promoting fear. Like
Mm-hmm.
when the new Lyme's vaccine for dogs came out last year, and of course my vet immediately said, "Oh, you need to vaccinate for Lyme's." I'm like, "What?
Yeah.
It's a new vaccine? I don't think so."
Yeah.
I'm, and the more that on the human side, the more vaccines that are created. I mean, when we were kids, I think we got a total of, I don't know, 12 vaccines. These kids are now up to 40 something.
Yeah.
It's a little worrisome.
Well, the one thing I will say, and again, I feel like it's a necessary evil in some things. I mean, obviously vaccines have eradicated polio and all sorts of other things in humans. I mean, it's a necessary evil. I'm not saying don't vaccinate. I'm also going to say that there is a lot of research that is linking vaccines to ADHD, all sorts of behavioral problems in kids, digestive problems, things that weren't as big of an issue. And people say, oh, it's just because, we didn't have the internet and you couldn't find out. No, they just weren't as much of an issue. They just weren't. I've talked to my mother-in-law.
I don't
She said
think they were getting as many vaccines.
I don't think they were getting as many vaccines. Absolutely.
40 years ago, we weren't giving that many vaccines.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. And then, in watching, having a baby and, and having to go in and get that first set of shots, oh my gosh. And then watch, and then, well, they're going to be sick for a while. And I'm like, and why am I doing this? And I realize that it's a necessary evil. Some of this is a necessary evil. I mean, with all of that. But the one thing Peter and I talk about all the time is I am so grateful that I don't have young kids that I have to worry about this anymore.
I know. So but we still have to worry about it with the dogs and the horses.
Yeah.
So from the AAEP's point of view, they divide vaccinations into two separate categories. They have core vaccinations and risk-based vaccinations.
Right.
Core-based being tetanus, encephalitis, West Nile, and rabies.
Right.
Personally, my horses get rabies vaccines every year, and they get tetanus vaccines every year.
Right.
Just not going there, especially with rabies, because, they can give it to people.
Yeah.
So I'm really cool on that. I think a lot of us, because we don't want to think through it, and we're afraid that someone is going to trash us publicly or hate us. When it comes to the risk-based vaccinations for our horses, so many of us just say, just give it all to them. I don't want to have to think about it. I don't want to have to make a decision. I don't want somebody to say something bad about me if I don't give that vaccine without taking the time to understand, what does risk-based mean? Is your horse at risk? Is it endemic, or is there one case in one county 120 miles from you on a horse that just got shipped in on a meat truck? I think that we're so afraid of being politically incorrect, to for lack of a better term, when it comes to our horses and our dogs' vaccines. We're afraid to sit down, look at it through clear eyes, say, what is the real risk of my animal contracting this disease or becoming exposed to this disease? Does it make sense to give this vaccine? And then on the other side of that also is the vaccine companies have very conveniently lumped all these things into one vaccine, so that when you want to give a horse a encephalitis vaccine, you get 7 other ones at the same time. So people give it to them, figure, well, may as well just give them all 7. Why not? Let's cover my bases. Well, there's not research that says that's necessarily better. I don't know if there's any research that says it's necessarily bad, but make that decision for yourself. Is that better to give vaccines that your horse doesn't necessarily need for that convenience? Yes or no?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm the same way. I'll put my hand up when it comes to old guys that stand around in a field for a living and don't ever get visited by other horses or humans. They get the rabies shot, they get the tetanus shot. You're good to go, dude.
Yeah. Do your
Mine
thing.
don't get either of those. Nothing. They had rabies. They had tetanus.
But
in truth, so many of these vaccines last the lifetime of the animal.
Yeah.
they don't,
And see,
they don't
that's the
know,
big thing.
right.
Yeah,
They don't
that's the
know.
big thing, because that's what they started doing years ago when they would test to see, they would do the titer in the dogs. And I just started to think about this with some of my older dogs, Ruben being one of them, who is well, and he's going to be 20 this year. He hasn't had a vaccine in the last 5 years of his life. And because I pulled a titer years ago, and and the vet was very truthful and said, yeah, chances are you're never going to have to vaccinate him again, but I didn't tell you that. I'm like, okay, and so it's just tough, because every
Right.
time, like with my one Frenchie, the first set of vaccines he ever got, and I always had them broken up, he absolutely had a reaction. I thought, well, this sucks, because this is going to end up, so what I'm going to do, give him Benadryl and do all, and they have, because
Yep.
they are so, their noses are so short, I always worry about their faces swelling and
Yeah.
not breathing. And,
Yeah.
and again, I do think there is a purpose and a point to all of this, but I do think it can be, really, really get out of
Now,
control.
I want to ask a question, because you had a light bulb for me. I didn't know. Explain to me having a titer done on your dog for a specific vaccination or for a specific
Well, I don't know
disease.
how specific related it is. I can't remember. A friend of mine told me about this years ago when I was in Michigan, and she had an older dog, and her vet said, they did a blood test and pulled a titer to see where.
That's getting more and more common. You can ask to pull a titer to decide whether you need to revaccinate.
Well, golly, that sounds like a smart thing. I'm going to quiz my vet about what a titer blood test is and whether or not I need to use them.
Right, yeah.
Because particularly with rabies, and I'm big on rabies because I've been through several rabies scares personally. Don't want to go there again. They don't have any research on horses that tells us how long the vaccine really lasts. So the states that require rabies vaccines require them annually for horses, regardless. Because they just don't know, and that's a CYA. Because just in case, we don't know. But it would be interesting if you are able to do that test. Like, well, no, he doesn't need one. It's 12 months, but he doesn't need one because this blood test proves that he doesn't. Well, by golly, I'm not going to have to give him one then. Why bother?
Right.
So that's going to be interesting. I'm going to quiz my vet about that whole process.
Yeah.
I'm curious how that works. Oh, it sounds like a health segment.
But yeah. Well, and this is such a tricky, discussion, because, I was in Wellington when the first EHV breakout happened. And that was really a very scary time, because horses were dropping like flies. And, and we had, as a farm, a training facility, put ourselves on, we just decided to quarantine. And very quickly after that, everybody was quarantining. But, it was so interesting, the things that you learned about that particular, incident. And then, okay, well, if your horses weren't vaccinated, flu and rhino and blah, blah, well, then they realized the flu and rhino didn't even cover the strain that was going out there, and it's just like, oh my gosh, this one thing. And the paranoia and the fear that we had was overwhelming. And it was interesting as a very small community on the planet going through this thing of, oh my gosh, we're not protected. It was not something I ever would want to go through again,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just scary.
It is. So, a very personal topic, an important topic to educate yourself, learn what the vaccine is, what the carrier is, because just because it's a killed or live vaccine, they're not all created equal.
Nope.
Talk to your vet, talk to your state agencies, and find out what genuine, real risks there are, and make an educated decision rather than just blanketing, just give them all. Sounds like a good idea, right? So that's wrapping it up. Do you have any suggestions, Tigger, since you're the one that brought this lovely topic to the table? I get to go to bed thinking about this. Do you have any maybe online resources that a horse owner might look into and read about to feel like they understand a little bit more about vaccines, how vaccines work, et cetera, et cetera? I'm putting you on the spot here. I didn't ask ahead of time.
I think a very good medical source is a vet named Joyce Harmon, and her website is Harmony equine.
Okay, let me get
And
down
it's
here and I'm going to write this down.
Harmany. Harmony.
Oh, she's the gal with the muzzle.
Yes.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes. And, Joyce is a skilled Western veterinary medicine vet who has transitioned into traditional Chinese medicine and holistic complementary medicines, but it all works together for her. And she would be a very good middle of the road person to talk to about vaccinations of your horse or your dog.
I'm gonna put a link to
And you
her
can shoot her an
website
email.
Yeah, that's a
She's
great
pretty
idea.
accessible.
Yeah, I'll put a link to her website in the show notes, so you can just go to Horse or Healthy Critters Radio.
I just want to add one thing. There is an unusual amount of people in the last 2 years have contacted me about diet change and expressed these very awful experiences their horses have had with vaccinations, affecting metabolism, affecting adrenal glands, affecting attitude, and so we cannot be blind that there aren't side effects. So that's what we want to be very. I mean, for a lot of horses, there's never a problem, and that's great.
Right.
And for a lot of dogs, there's never a problem. But we have to be aware of what we're injecting. Knowledge is
and why
knowledge.
and why
And
just
why,
don't
exactly.
let somebody stick something in your dog or your
horse.
horse and not know why. I mean,
Exactly.
I think that's, like you said, middle road, educate yourselves. And, and I think you have to be careful because, like I said, I have talked on extremists on both sides and I would get like, too overwhelmed. And I thought, no, I know what I'm doing here. I know what I'm doing. I know what's given me the most success. I know what works for me. And that's the hard part. But
there you go.
Yep.
There you go. Well, that's a wrap on the most controversial coffee clutch yet. Now the one about what your horse's favorite beverage would be was so much easier to do. But
and I it was so funny because when Tigger said this is what we should do, I'm like, I thought this was supposed to be uplifting. I'm supposed to be drinking coffee. I think we're gonna. But this was this.
Maybe we'll go a little lighter next time. A little lighter.
Oh, I think we'll definitely go lighter. But I especially after I present the Rockefeller stuff.
Oh yeah, I think I'm quitting after that one. I don't know. I just did.
I'm gonna put that on auto record.
Thanks for listening, everyone, and thanks to our sponsor, Biostar US. You can find them online at biostarus.com.
Get the Horse Radio Network phone app on iOS or Android by searching for Horse Radio Network in the App Store. It's free and easy to use.
For details about today's show, go to healthycrittersradio.com, where you can find links, photos, and more information about our guests.
As always, we love your feedback. Please follow us on Facebook under Healthy Critters Radio.
Be sure to visit all the great shows on Horse Radio Network at horseradionetwork.com.
Love your dog.
Hug your horse.
Feed your chickens.
Clean your litter box.
Dance with your goat.
Slither with your snakes.
Howl at the moon.
Hang with your hamsters.
Party with your parrot.
Waddle with your walrus.
Outwit your otter.
Cuddle your cows.
Rap with your raptor.
Go chipping with your chipmunks.
Forgive your fox.
While hedging with your hog.
We also recommend that you rack with your raccoon.
Gyrate with your giraffe.
And meditate with a meerkat.